Google, they're very intertwined, this episode. This year's keynote, Google made it explicitly clear that we've entered the Agentic Gemini Era. The headline of the event was launch of Gemini 3.5 family, with Gemini Flash taking over as the hyper-fast default model, powering the Gemini app and Google's new search AI mode, which I must say I use all the time. It does feel a bit, I switch the different engines to Pro and stuff like that. Eagle, you're super into this. Is this a good upgrade for our search? There's lots of other announcements that we're going to come out with: the agentic shift, the agents working on our behalf, and the sort of shopping cart sort of agent. And we're going to talk about other things like Gemini Omni, Gemini Spark, Synth ID expansion, and more. But just on that, the thing we deal with proactively every day, just that what's your thoughts on that?
Yes, so Gemini released a 3.5 Flash, which is like, usually they have three different LLMs. They have the Flashlight, the Flash, and the Pro. So every time that you're selecting on Gemini app, you have like the thinking, which is usually, they completely revamped now, and they are actually using the name of the model, which for us developers make way easier. I don't know about like the average customer, but they just released the thinking mode. So like Flashlight and the Pro versions are yet in the previous version. Every release, they usually have like benchmarks, and there is like some type of evaluation, and it's scoring quite good, but it's usually like all the models that are released have like a very high benchmark, and then you testing, you just like find like the middle gap, but it's looking promising. Pretty much.
Nathan, do you use the search at all yourself, and either the app or just in the AI mode in Google Search? Is that your preferred engine?
So yeah, I mean, I use as a lot of people do, Google Chrome, and so by default Google Search is switched on, and I will quite often use the little AI summary. That's for me perfect, because a lot of the time what I'm asking for can be summarized quite nicely in a paragraph, or it gives you some nice bullet points. So yeah, I do find it extremely useful.
Emily, just becoming gender normative here, particularly given that I do most of the shopping in the house. But, in terms of this sort of, you want to find something, you don't quite know where to get it. It may be a plant, it may be an item of clothing. You kind of get all of these suggestions for things that you type into the search. You're now moving to an agent that knows what you like before. It's got access to much more than I think about search often as frustrating because it's deterministic. So you have to actually know what you're searching for. You have to know the search terms that you're searching for, and then it will present you with products that satisfy your needs. And I'm sure there is a gap in the market for somebody who's a really smart assistant who's thinking for you and says, I know what you buy, and I know what you've returned, and so you're looking for a new shirt, or you're looking for a new implement for the kitchen. They know the brands you like and that you don't like, and they're shopping for you. Does that sound attractive?
Kind of attractive, but also it really highlights the differences between talking to search and talking to a human being. I actually had a very unusual experience this week, because after 6 months of my new glasses being ready, I had time to go and fetch them. So I went into John Lewis's in Oxford, and that's the first time I've actually been in a physical shop for months and months and months. And I was like, this is actually really nice. I like this. Yeah. And I can talk to people. It was quite busy and everything like that, but the way that you explore and the way that you talk to people about stuff, it's always, the conversations we have in the kitchen. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's very different from the interactions with search, because, as you say, Luce, it's about with search you have to have a certain amount of knowledge about what you're looking for, and you don't really get under the skin of, is it really any good? I often look at reviews. So I'm looking for a hotel or a holiday or clothes. You look at reviews and they tell you a certain amount, but often the reviews are really like, I don't really like curry, or I don't like hot weather, so I didn't like this resort. And it's like, this is not really an expert review.
Isn't that what they're trying to address here? Because if we take a holiday experience that I've had recently, and I'll give a shout out for Audley Travel in Witney, because what you were doing was I've been sort of comparing prices in that very robotic sort of TripAdvisor, Expedia experience, where you've got very database driven information, but you don't have any opinion. Nobody's reflecting me. When I talk to the travel agent, and my experiences from the travel agents go back to sort of 1980s, not very good experiences. And suddenly I was with a travel agent who was like, they kind of interviewed you and they got to know you, and then they put together a package based upon their knowledge and their access to market intelligence, and then sort of suggested, and they were having, isn't that, would you say that's what Google's trying to do here, is actually create something that is much more conversational and much less about...
Yeah, I also agree with Emily, but I think there are two different types of shopping, at least for me. Sometimes you need to explore the options and have someone guiding you, and sometimes you just want to find that plastic thing that attaches to your bin, which I've been looking for a couple of weeks ago. And it needs to be that one, but like, where can I find this? And you can go to a lot of stores and you're not going to be able. And I think like Agentic will be the one that actually will try to tailor down for you. And the good thing about the Agentic is when you are like the Google summary, it gives you like a summary, but like the Agentic, which I don't think they implemented yet, so it's yet to come, I think in the summer, is it can intervene in the middle of your prompt and ask you questions to tailor down a little bit more of your experience. So sometimes you do a prompt and the Agentic say like, oh, maybe the user wants to know about this. And then it's like, well, based on that, what would best describe what you're looking for? And then you give, it helps you narrow down for your options.
So if it's mediating and helping you with your selective scrutiny, helping you speed up the choice of purchasing, for me, I mean, I quite like sort of searching for stuff anyway, but if it helps speed that up, or it helps me get weird bits of kit quicker or cheaper, Nathan, is cheap always best? Often you'll go to the cheapest and you'll get something, and it's not, it might not be delivered, or it might be delivered in a crappy package and just thrown in your door.
Or it could be a scam.
Or it could be a scam.
Yeah,
So I'm do you think Google's proposing here to then deal with the problems on your behalf?
I think a lot of what searching the internet has been for the last, since it began, is very one-dimensional. You can ask it one thing, and it will go and search the internet for that one thing. It's very hard in a traditional search, browser search, to try and find a holiday that has X, Y, and Z and is near there and, has good, it's very hard to do that in a single search. It's very one-dimensional. What the agents will bring is, a more 2-3-dimensional approach where they can find specific things that you're looking for and bring them all together.
I think it's, and we said it in a previous episode, I think the estate agent is really up for grabs, don't you think?
Yeah, I also think there is a sort of difference between real life and agentic, and I'm just sort of posing a different point of view here, because I'm also excited about agentic assistance. For example, if you've got a big travel thing and you change one element, there's about 50 things that need to flow from that, and humans are not brilliant at that, and agents will be brilliant. I'm just sort of reflecting on me as a woman who is aging. If I went into a personal shopper who's like, right, I'm looking at you, the actual you, I can see you with my eyes, and I know from my experience what is going to suit you at this stage in your life and the way that your body is changing, and your interface with the computer is still not there. I'm now buying makeup online through Jones Road, which only sells online, and they do a lot of really good colour matching with your skin tone, which is really clever. But there's a lot of things that could could only have been done in that human way. But there's also a sort of, there's things that humans are really, really good at, which is like, I'm looking at you, I'm looking at, and just one look at you, I know your height, your age, the sort of things you're wearing, what's not working for you, what is working for you. And there is, I wonder, I'm sure that the agents will get there, but do we want them to?